the epic book of brilliant author Prashant Trivedi, Peace Gita, Scriptures for the Now, the core essence of Vedic knowledge and wisdom for the present time and age. A must-read for anyone whose goal is evolution, bliss, happiness, and pleasure put into practice. If you read it, you are going to learn what exactly love is, how love and evolve are connected to each other, 'cause only when one loves someone higher than oneself does one evolve. What is freedom and how to get it? What are the ways to better one's own state? How the real president is only the one elected by elements of nature, by the wind, by the sea, rain, trees, the earth, the sun, the stars, and the multiverse. What means to be twice born? First birth is out of the physical mother, and the second birth is into divine. In Albanian language, we have a simple illustration of that also, hyi, divine, and hu, enter into. Only when one is twice born does one become a Brahman, a knower of Brahmgyan, multiversal knowledge, which means truly free. Author P.T. gives clarity to the real purpose of terms like school, teachers, education, miseducation, the real student. Clear statements like there is no discipleship without discipline. In Peace Gita, we can read about the purpose of life. What is marriage? How sex simply means multiple electrical charge crossings. How in ancient Vedic tales the women usually chose their husbands in a ceremony called Swayamvar. They basically chose whoever they thought was the best, or didn't choose any if they thought no one was good enough. What happens when a female sleeps with Tom, Dick, or Harry? And how her body devolves, since by nature design she is the receptive vehicle. How future should be considered from now to eternity, including all their life or afterlife, and how actions of the now create the future. How a migraine can be cured if you try fresh air in a forest area. How God money created as a more controlled tool. What is real independence? How heaven used to be the name for self-sustaining electromagnetic field. The Sanskrit word for heaven is swarg, which means self-sustaining fire. Does hell exist? Why hell is pain and torture, and what are hells for? They are not for punishing people for actions they have done. They are for all those who have no intention to change to align with multiversal laws. In most of the chapters, you can also hear the sounds directly on YouTube, created by PT himself, which will give you even deeper knowledge about the meaning and story of the corresponding term. Listen to Lotus Ocean Radio station PT, cause PT's Lotus Ocean sounds are for herding souls back to the source. Throughout my life, I have read all kinds of books, and the conclusion is that Peace Gita is the only worth reading and rereading. Amazingly, PT defines the divine scientifically and mythologically as the perfect branching in phi golden mean ratio, or the super soul, or perfect fractality and perfect coherence, or the original creative spark, which, despite having created all the creations and dimensions, lies outside of it all. PT is the first one in the world who explains perfectly the difference between spirit and soul. Spirit is not the same as soul. Spirit is what mostly humans have, but soul one gets when one's level of coherence is same as the coherence of the sun, and the word soul comes from sol or sun. Most of people are just spirits who can, under certain conditions, generate a soul, depending on their efforts to establish or re-establish connection with the divine supersoul. Prashant Trivedi is a great etymologist too, and many more etymologies are being given on his excellent P-log or Lotus Ocean blog. He reveals the truth behind the meanings of the words like responsibility as the ability to respond properly to higher and divine. The same logic is given in other languages too, like Albanian, Përgjithësi, and Përgjigje, or Norwegian, Ansvar and Svar, which proves that his etymology is very true. The real meaning behind the word impressed, which means I am pressed, it means being pressed enough to act. Same logic is in other languages too, like Albanian, Përshtypje, and Shtyp, Norwegian, Inntrykk and Trykk, etc. Beautifully, PT reveals the meaning of emotion, which is energy in motion, energy which seeks answers and ascension, and doesn't stop till it gets them. Same in other languages. Norwegian, sinnsbevegelse and bevegelse. Albanian, emotion and energy me ets. You can find the same logic in your own language too. Religions have always tried to give their unclear definitions on, for example, what evil is, but in PT's Peace Gita, He explains what is evil and how evil was only born from not wanting to speak of the obvious divinity of divine. How godliness is a state of conscious painlessness, and how pain came into picture. The multiverses emanated from the One. In time, the energies of certain levels of this multiverse were manipulated to create something ungodly. So it became painful, full of pain in course of time. If there is a moving away from God, there will be pain. Divine is comfort-oriented, not torture-oriented.
Because my book is about pure principles.
Yes.
They are the Vedic knowledge for the current time. Okay, it is about the Vedic knowledge for the current time in a way people can understand in this time and age, in this present time.
Prashant takes us back to the Vedic wisdom which once was the same for the whole earth but now is forgotten. The author, P.T., reveals that even Brahma, the creator, took time to reflect upon his existence and purpose. So consciousness is not an automatic thing. It is something which one has to strive for continuously. He describes also why even Goddess Parvati chased Shiv, a divine being. Vedic conception of God was always embodied by the Krishna archetype, the alluring enchanter, the lover, the player. So for them, divine was not looking like an old uncle with Santa-like white beard spewing boring dialogues, but was, so to say, a youthful, sexy, blissful, interesting beyond imagination, intelligent, playful, fun, rocking, etc. P describes what is Kali Yuga, the dark age, and how very few beings here have goals like breaking out of the Mrityulok, the 3D matrix, and not having to be born here again in the temporary realm of pain and disease. The ancient Vedic literature called Puranas can easily be called servant service compendiums. To make them relevant in today's world, they are all primarily aimed at showing how one should serve the higher end divine, whether it be Hanuman serving Ram, or Kunti serving Durvasa, or various disciples serving their respective gurus. Philosopher Hegel have said that the truth is the whole, but humans are limited in their perceptions, and the whole or holism or holy can be found only in divine. In Peace Gita, P.T. states that truth is Shiv, is beauty. Truth is that divine exists and that happiness can only exist where or when divine is praised. Truth is in the laws of nature and divine, which are pure scientifically verifiable principles. Peace Gita content is short, precise, and very simple to read, and it should be read aloud repeatedly and not through the mind. For Piti's words are indeed the pure principles. Piti emphasizes that those reading these scriptures will not really learn anything which they can practically instill into their lives to evolve their soul until they have the discipline to do continuous verbal repetition of the text.
And I have a book called Peace Gita. This book is not to be read in a normal way, like through the mind. This book has to be spoken. Yeah, like you can see the page. It's not many words per page. So yeah, so it's easy. You have to read that out, speak it out. And when you speak something, then it actually enters your consciousness. You try to speak from the center of your mouth. So your mouth is moving in the center. You can like practice in front of a mirror. You can practice in front of a screen. You can practice, and you can put a finger in the middle of your mouth and see whether breath is coming from the center or not. When you speak, whether breath comes from the center or not. So there is various ways you can figure this out, whether this is happening or not. But there should be a conscious attempt to speak from the center. So when you read this book slowly, you have to reach each word properly, slowly. You have to give it time. And then you have to read each page 10 times maybe, because then you will understand more. Speech is the only human activity which involves all the 5 pranas. That's why when you're reading my book, that's a safe content, because my book is about pure principles.
Yes.
So whenever you're reading that and speaking that, you are speaking pure principles. Okay. And so that is always a safe thing to do. Okay. So that is the safe speech. And then it has to be done properly.
Some pure principles taken from the book are: action is paramount. Actions have consequences. The knowledge of consequences is the real knowledge. Only when you know how to have a successful life and death, then you know. Otherwise, it's just your ego or the false sense of knowing. Our body is made up of the 5 elements of nature, and the soul or spirit can ascend to higher realms only after purification of the elements, 'cause element is elementary, and real divinity carries connection with elements. P states that a real guru or enlightened higher divine being can always be distinguished by their connection to elements or nature. PT teaches us what is the body for and how you can train your DNA in your genes to shoot up your soul to break through the matrix of this plane through praise and service to divine. Some more pure principles from the book are: no matter how many houses you have, you don't own land. That will always be on lease from the divine. Multiverse is multi-dimensional. There are other dimensions beyond the 3D matrix, and you have a free will to go into higher dimensions by doing the proper actions. If you refine your senses through connecting to nature, you will get sense, a natural common sense. One sees P.T.'s pictures in the book. They are all in nature. And if one speaks out from the center of one's mouth what one likes by looking at them, that becomes a praise of nature. Individuals are only born out of the decision to serve the high and divine, to gain higher perspective, which requires discipline by starting from the discipline of your body, making it centered. Centering is a real meditation. Centering brings realizations, not thinking. Centering is the only cure. Real medicine, as in meditation. Bringing energy to the center to praise higher and divine is the only real essential. One wonders what is the biggest addiction of people today. P.T. clarifies that getting attention from others is the biggest addiction out here. Addiction is a lack of diction. Giving attention to nature, higher and divine, and praise with proper centered diction is the only cure for all types of addictions. So-called schools and universities of right now have teachers who have no clue as to what proper centered diction is. One could guess how proper learning is possible. P states that all ancient scriptures, especially Vedic Puranas, point towards learning happening only through bowing service to the real learned rishis, seers, and direct manifestations of divine. I have never heard any other writer explain so easily and understandable about the cow. Cow is, P.T. says, the supreme amongst all the animals that roam this earth. It is earth itself in a more compact, lovable form, a mother to all, until people start treating cows right. They will have all the diseases, wars, mental health, blisslessness. What they do to the cows, they will face back manifold in this life and afterlife. Viva the most lovely thing, PBS. PBS law is one of the most important laws of multiverse, which P says applies to all. It stays for praise, bow, and serve to higher and divine. Importance of praise and not pray is only emphasized by Supreme Guru Prashant Trivedi. Praise is P raise. pray was just a short form of praise. All the devotees of divine in all ages have one thing in common: praise of divine through word, song, and deed. Praise would raise you out from any blissless hell. That's how you evolve. In English, praise and raise. Albanian, lart só and lart. And lut and ulet. Norwegian, ruse and reise seg. So, praise and raising up. No one can evolve without bowing to the real higher and divine. Without bowing mental and physical with requisite postures, there is only downfall. Only graceful action one can do is sincerely bow to divine, and that is the most natural thing to do, especially if you have developed your natural sense by giving attention and praising nature. P.T. states that it is useful to remember that all evil only arose from the simple decision of not bowing to divine. If you don't pray but praise and serve higher and divine, all the help you need and more gets taken care of anyways. All evolution, all knowledge getting to better states, getting bliss, pleasure, and happiness doesn't come from thinking, from reading, analyzing, focusing on one's self, but only through practice of praising, bowing, and serving to nature, higher, and divine. If you want to start PBS immediately, just begin with nature. Praising nature, which is all around us. P has thousands of videos and a lot of pictures in the book in nature, and one can see perfect full fractality of PT and nature. If one is smart enough from this book, one can learn a lot of attributes or qualities of nature and divine, and then you can speak those out from the center of your mouth, and that will automatically lead to a better stage of yours. Practicing PBS is only positive and actually the only real work of humans. Not only evolves one, but also makes one face the judgment day easier, since Guru PT gives us the precise information that the judgment day is already here, and all us are being judged right now, every day. Viva PBS! Peace Gita is a very special and, I must say, really, really powerful book. In response of Peace Gita book, we got an access phenomenal effect in February 2018. A tropical cyclone named Gita brought destructive winds and has hit the Pacific Mahasagar. And immediately after some day of publishing the Albanian version of Peace Gita named Eposi I PT, Albania was struck by a very strong 6.4 magnitude earthquake located in Durrës, in the same center location where the books were printed out.